The Case of the Switched Prince. In the northern Song dynasty, the royal court in Kaifeng glittered with grandeur, but behind the red walls and golden tiles, secrets festered like shadows. Among the many tales whispered in the corridors of history, none was more astonishing than the scandal of the Switched Prince, a story that would decide the fate of an empire. At the heart of the tale stood Lady Li, favored concubine of Emperor Zhenzong. She was beautiful, but beauty alone was never enough to secure power in a palace where dozens of concubines competed for the emperor's fleeting affection. What she lacked was an heir. For years she remained childless, her smiles growing brittle as rivals bore sons who might one day ascend the dragon throne. Then came Consort Liu, a woman less adorned but sharp-witted and blessed by fortune. She bore the emperor a healthy baby boy. The court rejoiced, for at last there was an imperial heir. Gifts flowed like rivers into her quarters, and the emperor visited her daily. But joy in one chamber often meant despair in another. Lady Li, once radiant, now sat in silence, her painted nails trembling against silk cushions. Envy has a way of breeding schemes. Lady Li confided in her ally, the ambitious eunuch Guo Huai. Together they whispered in candlelit corners, hatching a plan bold enough to change the course of history. If Lady Li could not bear a child, she would take one. On a stormy night, while the palace slumbered, Guo Huai slipped into Consort Liu's chambers. With cold precision, he lifted the infant prince from his cradle, muffling the child's cries beneath heavy cloth. In his place, they left a swaddled bundle, a creature whose mewling was unlike any child's. When Consort Liu awoke to the sound, she pulled back the blanket to reveal a squirming black-furred kitten, its eyes glowing in the lamplight. Her scream pierced the night. Lady Li presented the stolen baby to the emperor as her own. Tears streaming down her face, she spoke of a difficult labor and heaven's blessing. Emperor Zhenzong, weary from affairs of state and blinded by affection, believed her. The infant was declared the future crown prince, and Lady Li's status soared overnight. Consort Liu, meanwhile, was branded a liar and accused of consorting with dark spirits. How could a woman give birth to a beast? The courtiers sneered. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some whispered she was cursed, others that she had defiled the sacred lineage. The emperor, shamed and furious, ordered her banished from the palace. She was stripped of rank, her name struck from the records, and she was cast into a lonely convent to live in disgrace. Thus, the secret was buried. Or so Lady Li believed. But time, like water, has a way of wearing through even the strongest stone. The stolen prince grew under Lady Li's care, groomed as the future son of heaven. He was bright, quick with his lessons, and noble in bearing. Yet, whispers never fully died. Palace maids still muttered about the night of the kitten's cry. Eunuchs passed down the tale in hushed tones, half in jest, half in fear. And among the common people, rumors drifted into tea-houses and markets. The emperor's heir was not born of Lady Li at all. Years passed, and the boy became Crown Prince Renzong. He was destined to inherit the throne, but fate had one last twist prepared. For in the dusty archives of the palace, one man had been quietly piecing together fragments of the past. The upright and relentless official, Bao Zheng, later famed as Bao Qingtian. Bao had heard the tale of the kitten birth, a story that sounded absurd, yet carried a scent of truth. When he learned of the forgotten Consort Liu living in seclusion, he grew suspicious. Why would an imperial consort be cast away so harshly over an incident so bizarre? He decided to investigate. And what he uncovered threatened to shatter the empire's most guarded secret. Bao Zheng began his investigation quietly, for the matter touched the dragon throne itself. A single misstep could mean his death. He summoned elderly palace maids and forgotten eunuchs, offering them protection if they spoke honestly. Their testimonies, gathered like fragments of broken jade, painted a chilling picture. A stormy night, a stolen child, a kitten left in the cradle, and a consort cast aside. Bao then sought out Consort Liu, now gray-haired and cloaked in coarse robes, living in a remote convent. When Bao bowed before her and addressed her as noble consort, the woman trembled and wept. Through tears, she recounted the night her infant vanished, the screams, the accusations, and the humiliation that had silenced her for decades. "Minister Bao," she whispered, "I carried the son of the emperor in my womb. I nursed him with my own blood and breath. They took him from me and gave me shame in return. Tell me, does heaven still see me?" Bao Zheng promised her, "If truth still holds weight in this world, heaven shall answer, and I will be its instrument." But he knew that without proof, words were wind. By then, the stolen child had grown into Emperor Renzong, who sat upon the dragon throne with dignity. Bao hesitated. Should he shatter the emperor's world with the truth of his birth? Yet, justice demanded it. With careful timing, Bao Zheng presented the case before the young emperor. At first, Renzong dismissed it as absurd gossip, but Bao requested a private hearing and laid forth the testimonies, sealed confessions, and even the written decree of banishment issued against Consort Liu. What mother, Bao asked gravely, would invent such a shameful tale for herself? And why would the palace cover it so quickly, unless there were truth? The emperor's face paled. For years, he had wondered why Lady Li treated him with both fierce protectiveness and an odd, uneasy distance. He had also heard whispers of the kitten prince, jokes that stung, though no one dared repeat them in his presence. Now, those fragments joined together into a picture too sharp to ignore. Renzong ordered that Consort Liu be brought before him. When she entered the grand hall, bowed low in her threadbare robes, the emperor felt a strange pull in his heart. Though her face was lined by sorrow, her eyes, gentle, luminous, stirred something deep within him. "Rise," he commanded, his voice shaking. "Tell me, who am I to you?" Consort Liu gazed at him as tears welled. "You are my flesh, my blood, my son whom I bore. I carried you in darkness, and though I was robbed of you, I never ceased to pray for you every day of my lonely years." The hall fell silent. Ministers looked on, stunned, as the emperor's eyes brimmed with tears. At last, the truth could no longer be denied. Lady Li's deceit was exposed. Though she had long since died, her reputation was ruined. The eunuch Guo Huai was arrested, forced to confess his part in the crime, and executed for treachery. As for Consort Liu, Emperor Renzong restored her titles and honored her as Empress Dowager. He wept openly before the court, declaring, "For so many years, I have lived without knowing my true mother. Today, heaven restores what was stolen. From this day forward, let no one forget her name." The court resounded with cries of, "Long live the emperor! Long live the Empress Dowager!" Yet behind the triumph lingered a bitter shadow. The empire had been ruled for years by a son raised on a lie. Ministers wondered aloud, if the switch had never been discovered, how many more lives would have been ruined by ambition, envy, and deceit? Bao, ever stern, offered his counsel. "Your Majesty, heaven's justice may be delayed, but it cannot be denied. What matters is not the sins of the past, but how we guard truth in the future." The emperor nodded, and from that day forward, Renzong ruled with humility, never forgetting the scar of his own birth. His reign became remembered as one of fairness and benevolence, but also one shadowed by the haunting tale of the switched prince. Thus, the legend of狸猫换太子was etched into the memory of generations, a warning against ambition unbridled, a reminder that even within golden palaces, truth may be hidden but never destroyed.